All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope everybody is doing good today. Hope you're having a peaceful, relaxing day. And thank you for tuning in. As always, if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the chat and I will get to those, or leave them in the comment section after the video and I will get back to you then. Let's see here. So last week we were talking a little bit about synthesizers, and let's go ahead and dive right back into that discussion. All right. So let's see here. I got opened up Alchemy within Logic. I'm not going to dive super deep into Alchemy itself, but rather just synthesis, kind of what all synthesizers have in common across the board. And so last week, I remember we talked about oscillators, and this is our oscillator section right here. Alchemy calls it sources. It's basically turning electronic signal into a wave, into a frequency. And then we've got our filter section over here, and then we've got this is kind of like the they call it the master section, the master volume. This is kind of like a souped up VCA, voltage controlled oscillator. So if we were in a modular setting or a semi modular setting, this would be the VCA, this would be the filter, and this would be the oscillator. And that's kind of like the where synthesizers come from. They had individual modules back in the day, and then these modules started to become combined and then sold as single piece hardware units, and it's just kind of evolved from there. And this is kind of where we are. There's obviously much different software synthesizers, or soft synths now, but they kind of all are starting from the basis of these basic modules. Sorry, that was a lot. So last week we talked about our different types of wave shapes. Square wave is what we wound up on last week, and then also put a filter here. Logic offers a whole variety of filters and effects. I've got a low pass filter happening right now. Low pass just means that the highs are cut off. Excuse me. And this little cutoff knob, it determines at what frequency they start to be cut off at. Mine is at 524 hertz right now. And this resolution knob, I don't think we got to last week. Resonance, not resolution. Jeez, sorry. Resonance, meaning that there is going to be resonance at the cutoff frequency. So I'll give you an example of that right now. So there we are, filter is open. Well, what am I doing wrong here? There we go. I should take this off. There we go. Now it's self-oscillating when it's at 100%, but basically so you can hear that you can hear me dragging, obviously, and that's the resonance of the cutoff frequency. I stopped at 805. Obviously you get higher up, about 3000 hertz, the resonance is going to sound higher, and then we can just bring that down or bring it up, however we want to do. And those are some fairly common features on our filter. The cutoff frequency and then the resonance of that cutoff frequency. And then we also have our master volume or VCA or whatever you want to call it, that is synced up to this Alchemy calls it AHDSR. Most commonly is attack, decay, sustain, release, ADSR. And right now I've got it synced to the tempo of the piece of music that we're working on. I just push this sync button. Some synthesizers will have syncs, others will not, and you'll just have to dial it in by ear. But sync button is really, it's a nice little feature to have. You can negotiate your settings based around it. There you go. That based on something like that, and I guess it's maybe difficult to appreciate the sync outside of the musical context. So let's bring that in. There we go. Too slow. So just barely catching it there. There's a little bit of a delay. For bass, I kind of want it more up on there. Or at least in this instance I do. So that's just an example of syncing your ADSR to the tempo of the song. Let's see here. And then the ADSR is controlling our volume. So one thing that I wanted to talk about today was something that's kind of cool that we can do with an LFO. LFO stands for low frequency oscillator, and low frequency, is from 0 hertz on up to, I don't know, some people go up to maybe 200 hertz or so. Anything below 20 hertz we don't hear as a tone, we hear as a rhythm. So LFOs, maybe in the strictest sense, are defined by 0 to 20 hertz. Anyways, let's drop an LFO here and let's put it on our cutoff frequency. Get rid of that res. And just to hear what these things do. And similar to the ADSR, I've chosen to sync this LFO to the tempo of our track. It's a great way to provide extra movement. Obviously this is pretty exaggerated, but it is something that you can do. You can slow it or speed it up. Sounds kind of a cool effect. Another thing that's kind of cool about some hardware synths and then this one is you can delay before the LFO comes in. Hear that? Too much delay. So that's kind of cool. Maybe not super practical in this purpose, but this is just a guideline of you can do these things. If you can see, the LFO is sweeping the entire, and we can adjust that by adjusting the depth. So if you want to kind of rein in the frequency that your LFO is sweeping, you'll do that by adjusting the depth, which in Logic Alchemy is right here. Definitely a useful tool. It's a kind of a balancing act between your cutoff and then how deep you want the LFO to, how deep you want it to go. This is wonkily fast. Okay, that sounds a little bit more practical to my ears. Another cool thing that you can do is you can apply your LFO to, well, you could apply it to anything you wanted to, but sorry, I kind of spaced out there. A cool thing that I like to do is to put it on tuning, right? So this is within Alchemy, but you can just route these things to any way you want to go on a hardware synth or a soft synth. Let's see here. There we go. And it gives it the that wobbly. Let's slow it down. This is obviously pretty exaggerated, but you're gonna want to really have I really like keeping them subtle, but just to provide a little bit of movement. And if you've got options to having more than one LFO, that can be cool too, because if you get everything going to like the same envelopes and the same LFOs, it can sound cool, but it can also sound cool when you really start to mix and match. So like we've got this LFO already with our cutoff frequency on the filter. So let's add another different LFO for the tuning one, just to give it like an extra layer of complexity. And now that's too slow. Let's tighten that up. And now we go back here, LFO1, yes. So there we go. That's a more complex sound than what we were working with. So, you know, back in the days of the old school modular individual modules, you would have one LFO and then you'd have to get an entire separate module to have access to another LFO. And we're kind of spoiled with our software. Now we can just add them in. Speaking of adding in, let's add in another oscillator. Adding in another oscillator is going to help us thicken up our sound, make it more complex. Ooh, there's some nice sub bass there. Actually, let's tune that up. Just to give that fundamental a little bit more oomph, a little bit more strength. What I was doing there is also, if you want to just kind of just play around, you can tune these things. And you kind of get some cool jumping off points in terms of sound and maybe writing, just to tune oscillators to different pitches and then kind of going from there. And you can get into like kind of crazy special effects within that too, in terms of applying. Let's put a LFO on the volume of this sine wave oscillator. Let's see. Let's play a little bit more. I'm mousing around here. That's cool to me. That's cool to me because it's because of the in and out textures. Let's see here. That's basically kind of what I wanted to talk about. Just applying LFO to different just plugging it into different areas, be it a tuning, or be it the filter, or be it a voltage controlled amplifier, whatever it may be. It's really endless possibilities in terms of how you want to route these things, and then what the routing can do for you in terms of creativity. I guess in this context, let's take a peek at, or take a listen here. Okay, that's wonky. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Okay, there we go. That lower. I think actually what I'm trying to do is to put an ADSR on this, and I'm trying to do it with the LFO. So let me do it with the ADSR. New one. Sync it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And have it kind of like swell up into it. Needs to it needs to get timed better, but yeah, I kind of like that. Obviously, it's mixed way too hot. Let's bring that down. And then you can choose to do with it what you will. If you want it to be loud and upfront, or if you want it to just be like quietly supporting what's already existing. It's still pretty loud. That's kind of cool. Just an extra way to add another layer, which is kind of what it is about, is to make as many layers as you can, make as many things draw you in as possible without sounding cluttered or like there's too much going on. And it's definitely the art that we're all trying to figure out how to do. But I guess my point or a major point that I'm trying to make is that you can really, really, really do a lot with very little. Like the synthesizers, we can really do a lot with just a very little bit, just a couple oscillators, couple LFOs, an envelope or two, and it can really add a nice flavor that was not present in the music before. So I hope that was cool. As always, I am available for some private instruction. Reach out to me. We'll do a little consultation about what you're trying to do and whether or not I can help you. And if we do decide to move forward and you don't like how the service wound up, I'll give you your money back. Complete money back guarantee, 100% satisfaction. I am here to help you. So if I'm not helping you, I shouldn't get your money. And yeah, I hope that was helpful. If you want to, you can check out some music at nathangoheen.com. Let's see. I think that's all I have to say. Come back next Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, to another live stream. Hope you all are well, and I will see you next week.